minute or so late. I was looking at my inventory and not paying attention to the time. I'm sure that's never happened to you, huh? Hey, Titan over on YouTube, Wanatuck, Red Piety, Puff Granny over on Twitch. The fine folks over on Facebook. Appreciate everyone being here today. We're going to be starting in just a second. We are live on Argonesson. We have a full group. Going to be running at least one of the new Update 35 quests on the heroic end since the level 10. Might talk a little bit about the upcoming nerfs later on in the show. A little bit about the upcoming nerfs. I hear myself. Later on. Okay, don't do that. Just trying to figure out how to get my chat going in Facebook. Alright, nonetheless, we're going to go without it. Hello, welcome to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream here on twitch.tv/DDO stream, youtube.com/DungeonsandDragons/live, facebook.com/DDO Unlimited. Really appreciate everyone being here. Hit that follow button on Twitch if you want to be notified for when we're going live with shows just like this one. Subscribe to us on YouTube to get these videos in your subscription feed. Like us on Facebook, not just for the live streams, but because we put a lot of info there as well. I am actually I'm running a little late, and I do apologize for that. I'm actually in the middle of having to do a quick announcement over on the Lord of the Rings side, and you guys are going to have to probably sit through while I do that. I apologize. I was just going through my TR cache to see what I might be able to do to upgrade a few things. I'm going to put on my spectral gloves. I've got the bubble belt for when I need underwater action. Visor of the Flesh Render Guards, because, hey, Death Ward clicky. And I put on my Nightforge Gorget, so I could finally have fortification on this character. Level 11, Barbarian, multi-life character. God, I think this is... Actually, I think this might just be the second life on this character, because he was a cleric once before. I know, Bortech, we're not quite ready to show off the favored soul stuff yet. I think we're really just going to kind of do a pass on that. Based on some of the things that we see from the Players' Council and all that, so I'm going to have to get that out first. Like I say, I do apologize. I'm going to have to do a little bit of something here before I get going. I think they just announced the uptime on Lord of the Rings, and I got to take care of that. I apologize. Sometimes things are like that. Yep. All worlds green as of exactly noon. So let me quick take care of that. You get to watch me make an announcement. So anyway, I can talk a little bit while I'm doing this, though, to the best of my ability. A little bit about our upcoming bonuses. We have got a 50% crafting XP boost. Kicks off on Thursday, runs through the weekend. Okay. The other thing we have going on is, and this is very, very tentative, so please, when I'm wrong, and this doesn't happen, don't burn me at the stake, but there's a chance we're going to be going live with Update 36 on Lamania as soon as late next week. I think we may be shooting for Monday night's build. So if that checks out, we would probably be live somewhere, let's say, Wednesday, Thursday-ish, something like that. But it's still a little too early to say. I know that when that was announced during this morning's kind of stand-up meeting, there was a couple of people who were like, my quest isn't ready yet. So we'll see. But that's the goal, is to get it out hopefully as soon as next week so that we can get something out before the July 4th weekend for everybody. I get a sneak peek at Update 35. When is Update 35 going to be released? Well, clearly not in June here. We're currently targeting July. Probably mid-ish July, and again, stay tuned for something a little more concrete than that, based on part on how things go over on Lamania and things in the next couple of weeks. So, but that's the current kind of real tentative sort of time frame that I can announce for you in terms of Update 35 here. I know this came up on the forums, so I would reiterate that Update 35 does not have the cleric stuff in it. It was never intended to either. That's going to be coming sometime after Update 35, before Ravenloft, most likely. Hello, DDO Geek Mom, Dan Teal, Forehand, bunch of other folks. So yeah, I'm still working on the Favored Soul stuff. I do want to get something cool out to you guys, hopefully by the end of the week, but it all kind of depends. We had a Daybreak executive in the office just sort of swing by yesterday, and so Rob, Siverlin was a little busy with that and all that, so we're going to kind of have to see how it goes. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to do a little quick announcement here over on the Lotro side, but I'm good to go now.
From the jungle into an open clearing, only to spot a figure beckoning to you. Footsteps can be heard from further down the path.
Prince over on YouTube, please reconsider nerfing Warlock. No. Sorry. I know, I apologize. I know people like their OP builds. Warlock is so clearly OP that there's just no chance we're gonna not roll back, you know, do some of the work at least that we have announced that we are going to do, because holy moly does it need to be done. It's been needing to be done for a long time. Nobody wants to announce a nerf. Nobody wants to do the nerfing because it makes people unhappy. And unhappy people are not the kind of people we want playing our game. We want you guys to be having fun. But sometimes, through a combination of maybe decision-making on our part and what have you, we have to do this stuff. Warlock is an example of really needing to do it, because it's just so clearly OP in the heroic levels, and they're just fine on, for the most part, on Epic, but they're still a little strong even there. So we're going to be doing that. Yep, there's a forum thread that went up yesterday afternoon you can take a look at that talks a little bit about what we're going to be doing with Warlock, and I will actually be getting into that probably after the quest here. The ES tree isn't even that powerful in heroics. Sorry, you're wrong. I apologize, man. It is. It so clearly is. Come on. Come on. Really? Come on. Anyone who says Warlocks are not OP in heroics are... I'm sorry, but no. You know, it's always, we tend to get fairly extreme reactions when we do announce this thing, and that's fine. You know, I'm not trying to belittle anyone's opinion here. I think when really the dust settles on this thing, Warlocks are going to be just fine, and the upper level epics, they're still going to be totally powerful in heroics, just a little less OP, you know, less just sort of take a nap style playing. I think it'll be fine. So I know I've seen some people say, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna quit," and a couple people being like, "Well, guess I'm not gonna get your Warlock life done now." That's still an option, of course, but I think you will be just fine when all shakes out here. It's not really gonna be too incredibly awful, I don't think. So people have to be creative and not run the same build every life now for Racial and Reaper XP. Well, that's a thing. That's true. But they're still going to be fun to play. I mean, you know, we don't want to make a class unfun to play and all that sort of thing. And I think that, really, like I said, when the dust settles on this whole thing, I think people are still going to enjoy playing their Warlocks. They're still going to be dishing out tons of light damage on the high end of epics. A little less than they were before. But they're still going to be really, really powerful. And people are going to find ways to, I'm sure, get that power back to whatever we take away in the epic levels, even there. The end result of these Warlock changes was largely to keep them in a good place at endgame, and just really rebalance the curve a little bit on their power level. And so we've largely done that. We have scaled back, so like I said, a little bit of the light damage and the Enlightened Spirit tree, but yeah, I don't think I say, I don't think it's going to be too out of control. The Arcane Archer thing is more significant, and again, I'll talk about that a little bit later on. And Steel Star does a good job of kind of explaining the reasoning why, so I'm not going to try to, while playing here, try to repeat his statement, but just take a look at that. What we really needed to do was, because we want to do some ranged work, and we can't really do that and let the shuriken builds just continue to be near exploit level good, because of Arcane Archer. So Arcane Archer has always said that you need to be using a bow, basically. It only works on arrows. And it's never only worked on arrows. And so we're making it do that now. We are doing some work on the toggle, I know. We're going to be having it toggle off when you change out of a bow. And I know that there's some concern about that. One, that, like I said, I think we actually already did the work, but Steel Stars couldn't remember doing it when we were talking about that yesterday, so we're going to double check on that. But it should work when you swap into a scroll. It shouldn't untoggle. And I know some players have suggested maybe we also find a way to make it not untoggle when you swap into, say, a melee weapon. And perhaps it's something we can look into. But I can't really make any promises about that right now. Do we have any plans to address late-game spell damage and it lagging significantly behind physical, ranged, and melee? Do we have concrete plans like that I could announce? Yes, for update blah 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 patch so it'll be fixed. I can't. But I do think that we are aware that we need to do some work, on our spellcasters, and along with some other things, we have to continue that class work. And I do think when we get to our casters, we're going to take a look at some of those things. So I don't know that they actually lag significantly behind physical, ranged, and melee. There's an argument to be made, because of sort of the way things work in Reaper. That perhaps, limited resource versus unlimited resource, etc., etc. But, I think... I'm not sure that they're actually that bad off. But I do think that they are perhaps a little behind. And that's something we will be, taking a look at when we can. I don't think it's going to be something we're going to really have ready for, say, the next patch or update 35. Certainly not. But it's something we can take a look at. Players would rather have new content than nerfing. Yes. That is generally true. The problem with OP is people like their OP. They like to complain about the OP when they're not the OP, but they like their OP. And that's the reality of video games. But, I appreciate what you're saying. I really do. And yes, we don't make these kind of balance changes lightly nor easily, which, in some ways could be argued that's why it's taken so long to do this with Warlock. But, nonetheless, we do have to do that work. Can I tell us about Arcane Archer and non-longbow weapons? I mean, it does specifically work with bows, so bows. But I don't think it's specific to a longbow as opposed to a short bow. I think it should work for both, right? Do we have Linabelle locked away somewhere working on bugs? No, we don't need to lock her for that. She volunteers to work on bugs. I actually am going to be putting together the release notes for Lamania, perhaps, like I say, for kind of later next week. And she's got a lot of change lists in there. A lot of kind of, you could say they're small bugs, but cumulatively we're going to be doing a lot of nice polish work, I think, for update 35 here. Thanks, not just to her, but thanks in part to the exceptional work that she's done in recent weeks to address some of these kind of long-standing things. So I think people are going to be pretty pleased looking at those release notes and all that. Any plans to expand festival events past winter and the Night Revels? Yes. We actually have some work underway toward the Mimic Hunt. I don't know when that work's going to be ready exactly, but work is underway on that. It has been for a little while. We have a dev kind of working on the loot list, working on the distribution of the loot, some things like that. So I think we're going to see some work done on Night Revels so that we can hopefully get it out later this, or not Night Revels, but Mimic Festival, so that we can get it out, when the time is right. Night Revels will most likely get some kind of, at least minor update, for this winter. We've always had a long-term plan to do something about Crystal Cove, so that may well happen someday. I mean, there's interest in doing it. I just don't know when we're going to fit it into our schedule. Warlock sales will plummet? I don't think so. I really don't. They're still going to be perfectly viable, perfectly powerful. They're still going to be among the most powerful classes in the game.
With the magical barrier dispelled,
I'm not too concerned about that. I guess if people were buying them only because they were super duper OP, then yeah. But they're still going to be totally fine, I think. Was Crystal Cove skipped this spring? It mostly, I mean, we had it back a little bit, I guess, earlier this spring, but, it's not super popular right now just because we haven't been able to address the loot in it for quite some time. We recognize that, so I don't know, I mean, it's not gone. I think we'll be bringing it back sometime this summer, if nothing else. But, we recognize that its popularity is not what it was, because the loot really does need to get a little work in there.
The sound of a door rumbling open can be heard to the east. One of the fiercest lizard folk has made this room into its den. The creature hisses
Prince Noob Sauce over on YouTube says, I'm specifically talking about the Enlightened Spirit tree in terms of not nerfing Warlock. I think Enlightened Spirit does need some tweaking because it really, one of the reasons you can tell is because it is sort of the only tree, the one tree, so to speak, that most Warlocks are playing. And the reason for that is it's offering just clearly higher benefits than most of the other trees, although we do see some others out there, so. Buff up other classes instead, and sometimes we can do that. I mean, I think we did do that to some extent if you think back a couple of years to when Swashbuckler came out and was clearly on the high end of the curve. We did bring up, I think, and I think people have seen that, we have largely brought up everyone to that level of sort of making Swashbuckler the new baseline. But I don't think it's realistic to think that we can do that for Warlock here, because frankly it would just trivialize all the content in the game. It's just not realistic. Sometimes, instead of bringing everyone up, you gotta scale something back a little bit.
An enormous cavern opens before you. A raised platform can be seen on the far side.
I don't know, Dag. He asked if we will sell trinkets with augment slots like in the DDO store. I don't know. I mean, it's a cool suggestion. I just know that we have not actually, spent any time, like, realistically looking at that. So. If the devs allowed me decisions, On stuff in an update, what would I do and why? That is an interesting question. If I was in charge, basically, I would do the next classic pack would be the Desert of Desolation series. I would, and this is also assuming that Wizards would let us and everything, but I would do the Desert of Desolation series. I would personally probably not do some further work on Turn Undead, because I like Turn Undead. We need to do some stuff. What would I do? Gosh, that's a good question. I would love to see more kind of like animal companions and things like that. That would be pretty nifty. Okay, what am I waiting for? Oh, okay. Honestly, I don't know about hirelings. Would I work on hirelings? The main thing about hirelings, though, is they're just... I think maybe they've hit the limit of what we can realistically expect them to do. I don't know. Maybe not. Are we ever going to see more cosmetic armor in the store? Yeah, probably.
The door opens, releasing a sudden blast of moist air.
No! Missed the train by that much. Don't know if classes will be on sale anytime soon. I would assume so. They're part of the regular rotation. Next module needs to be Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. I'd be okay with that. But if you're asking what would I personally order to have done, that's the one I would do. Tomb of Horrors, yeah, that would be cool too. But like I say, the one near and dear to my heart is Desert of Desolation. Although frankly, I would love to see Adventureland and Land Beyond the Magic Mirror as well. I always love those because that just, for those who follow the live stream, will probably know that clearly follows my sense of humor. So I would be down for that, for sure. Besides, I also really like Benectarin, and so I think being able to do kind of a next generation, you know, Benectarin Part 2 would be really rad.
You can make out the outlines of small dwellings in the distance, but a magic barrier blocks exploration in that direction.
Whatever happened to Asimir? I would say that they are still on the plate. Cool, Bruce. Web TV studio broadcasting in HD. That sounds very cool. When are we going to get new epic destinies? It's probably going to be a while. We just have some other... I think a lot of other things just need to be addressed before we can really consider that. Is there anything in the works for applying the token system to old school Run 20 raids? No. Not that we wouldn't like to do it, but it just is not a real high priority at the moment. Clearly, at this point, Ravenloft is a high priority. And I do think, you know, moving forward, we're going to be doing that raid token system for all new raids, or at least most of them, where it makes sense. But I don't know. But in terms of retrofitting that system for all the old raids, I don't know, man. Maybe. Like I say, I think if time were not an issue, then maybe. But it is. So, you know. I am looking at YouTube comments. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, the reason I think we're not going to be focusing on Epic Destiny's short term is that we really are still in the middle of a bunch of class work. That means a lot of enhancement tree work, you know, things like that. So I just don't see that time, that limited systems time, being devoted to new Epic Destinies. Although clearly we'd like to do them at some point here.
But a hole has been excavated to give access to the hallway below.
Favored souls need an SLA build. Yeah, maybe. As a matter of fact, I think you're going to be probably pretty happy when you see the trees there. When is the next level cap? Probably not for quite some time. Can't see us doing a level bump above 30 anytime soon. Is wisdom to damage going to be like con to damage, i.e. race specific? Probably. Well, maybe. Probably. We'll see. Alright, we're probably ready to jump down, huh? Will Epic Destinies get an increased level cap anytime soon? Probably not. I can't see us doing that. Are we aware of the division of players making grouping sub-20 difficult, and if so, can you hint on any plans to alleviate the issue? I actually think sub-20 grouping is not that bad right now, because we have a lot of people doing racial past lives, Reaper difficulty, things like that. So I think there's a number. I've actually heard the opposite, which is that some of our Epic Destiny or Epic level folks are kind of feeling a little left out. Any estimate for Ravenloft pre-orders? No time soon. It's going to be a ways off yet. Yeah, Growler, we have another person saying, we want craftable trinkets in the DDO store. Yeah. It's definitely something to bring up. With augment slots. What? Hey, who's that guy? Yep. Ooh, I'm almost dead. Oh, I am dead. Okay. Is that a low political poster behind me? Yeah, that's from the 2012 election. One of our marketing guys just got on a kick where he was doing a LOL for president, and I just think it's kind of funny, so I keep it back there. Yep. Yes, Dan Teal. I think the days of nauseating pink glows like Shadowfell will not be happening again. Yep. Any monsters coming from the original Fiend Folio? I don't think so. We do have some new monsters, coming with Ravenloft and that, but I don't think they're coming from the Fiend Folio, the OG one. What happened to Goblins? We just never really pursued them. We've talked about this, I guess, before, but it's been a while, so probably worth reiterating. Which is that the role that Goblins would play in combat is really pretty well served by a whole bunch of other different kind of mobs in the game. So the reason we would be adding Goblins is really more for flavor and specific kind of diversity reasons, rather than any kind of real gameplay impact. And so, given the desire to do new monsters when we can, we also tend to try to focus on monsters that are a little more unique. That offer something kind of different. Like when we did Umber Hulk with their confusion abilities and some of that sort of thing. So it's not that. So I think that we could do Goblins at some point. Certainly, I would think if we ever did, like, say, Keep on the Borderlands or something like that, that would make a lot of sense. But otherwise, we've just sort of moved in other directions on that. Any work on giving throwers for love, especially with Arcane Archer changes? Yeah. I don't know when, but it's something we're aware of, that our thrower folks would like us to spend some time working on their preferred sort of play style. And I do think that that's something we would like to get to when we can. Is the store going to return to being in-game? Is there a way to currently see an outfit preview? No, there is not. Yes and no. Yes, the store will be returning in-game. We're currently working through an issue that is preventing us from doing it. That issue being something that really came with Lord of the Rings Online when we just recently put it out there. And that is that in order to maintain our PCI compliance, we need to update to basically a more secure system, which involves using the Chromium external framework, which is cool. And we did that for Lotro, and they've got it in, and they even have a checkbox to swap between the two that they want. However, Chromium external framework is based on a oh no, version of Google Chrome that is not supported by Windows XP and Vista. So, what that means is when Windows XP and Vista players tried to launch Lord of the Rings Online, they couldn't. And clearly that's a bit of an issue. So, there we go. So we don't want to introduce that issue to DDO. I don't know what the solution is exactly going to be. We have a temporary workaround in place for those Lord of the Rings Online players where they're basically kind of downloading a couple of files and putting it into their install directory, and that's how they're getting it done. But where am I going? We don't need to do that. But we don't want to introduce that to DDO. So once we get that solution in place for Locho, I think we'll be bringing it back to DDO, and it'll have the versatility of allowing you to choose whether you want an internal or external browser. And the reason that that's particularly nice is some people have actually come to like the internal browser, or external browser, particularly, say, live streamers, things like that. And so it's a cool system that we would like to support, but we don't want to just introduce that problem to DDO at this time. Nah, little Moosey, no plans to do a follow button for DDO. I think it would be a problem. I think it would be used to make mini sandwiches while earning XP. New classes races coming with Ravenloft. Can't really answer that yet. Sorry. Ravenloft will be cool. Running. Always running. A possible solution is to check the player's Windows version. If they're using an unsupported version, give them a notice saying the InGame Store is not supported by XP Vista. Right, that the issue is actually beyond that, though, technical, and that is that the game client will not launch. It has nothing to do with just the store opening externally, because yes, those people will have to continue to use an external store browser. The issue, like I say, specifically, is that they cannot launch the game because of this change. Can I hype you up a bit about the next update? Sure, yeah. It's going to be Forgotten Realms. We are heading back into the Underdark, really for the first time since Menace of the Underdark. It's going to be Drow versus Dwarves in a political conflict. People will be seeing that fairly soon. We've got Artificer Battle Engineer changes coming. Whole bunch of bug fixes and polish. And then after that, we're going to be, well, some of our devs are already working on Ravenloft, but really that's going to be the next big push, is we are going to be doing our next classic expansion. This is going to be Ravenloft. So if you're into that.
Which is dominated by a glowing magic device. 2 gems adorn the control panel that Alanis mentioned.
Hopefully that hypes you up a little bit. Under Illifarn? I'm actually not familiar with Under Illifarn. That's a new one to me.
The gate to the west slides
Cool.
open, clearing the way into Dunalenthia's chamber.
Will something be done to the Underdark Travel? It is very time-consuming to get to dungeon entrances. I actually think for Update 35 we're just going to teleport you straight there. I hear ya, but it's actually not too bad. Usually people go through Schindler Run, but especially like in the belly of the beast can be a real pain to get to. You need a transporter for Chains of Flames, just like Necro 4 has. Yeah, I don't know, every now and then running is not the worst thing in the world, but sure, I hear you. I agree, every now and then the gotta know your way and run isn't the worst thing in the world. What about Mysterious Remnants? Will there be some new items, cosmetics, tomes? I don't know. I think our itemization is frankly going to be pretty busy over the next couple months because of Ravenloft. But perhaps in the future we can take a look at that. Generally, when we have a new item, we look for the right place to put it, and the Mysterious Remnant vendor is one of those places that, you know, we like to put things when we can. Is Ravenloft going to be pay to play? Yes. It will be an expansion. When are we making it easier to locate a quest? I hear ya. We had a plan to do some kind of like adventure hub, but that's kind of been scrapped and it'll have to be reworked. So probably no time immediate is the correct answer to that. But we do appreciate that, especially people who aren't familiar with a quest or whatever would like us to do that. Are sentient weapons still a possibility? It's a possibility. It's actually kind of amusing that you mentioned that. There were some discussions about that today. I just don't know. We want sentient weapons to be good. And competitive, and all the other kind of goodies. So I'm not sure. It'll be released when the time is right, and we found a good role for them. Probably the best way to describe that.
Falls, releasing Dunalenthia from her magical compulsion.
Aww. See a scroll of tree seeing in there. Glacial sphere. It's kind of cool. Looks like just one named item, and that's that person who got the glacial sphere. Alright, so I think rather than run another quest here, what I'm going to do is go over the updated forum thread there. So I'll probably call it an in-game show for you, and what I'll do is get you guys a DDO point code and the in-game mail, hopefully later today. I know I was late last week, but hopefully I can get that done a little quicker this week. Let's see. Sentient Weapons released the same time as Dr. Dre's Detox album. That's funny. Yeah. Alright. We need some high-level named rapiers. Yes. Is there a 10-year waiting list for pet rocks? No. I dropped hundreds of them just a couple of weeks ago. I just haven't done it for a little bit yet. I'll do more of them. Don't worry about it. If you really want one, just get in touch with me. I'll do my best to make it happen when time permits. All right, let's head over to the forum thread. There we go. Upcoming system changes for Update 36. Arcane Archer, the following changes are being made. This is going to apply to both Elf and Ranger. The Arcane Archer imbue toggles will only grant their effects while wielding a longbow or shortbow. Yep, to address that earlier question. Arcane Archers must have a long or shortbow equipped to toggle on the imbues from that tree. Like I say, there is some work being done to make sure scrolls do that, and there has been some discussion about whether perhaps melee weapons can work with that as well. And the reason we're basically doing that is we need to better balance bows, crossbows, and other forms of ranged combat that includes thrown weapons. But in order to make that work, we really do need to take care of this Arcane Archer thing. With Warlocks, they're going to receive Eldritch Blast base die at levels 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20 for a total of 66 damage at level 20. In the past, it was a little more random than that. It was like, what, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, something like that. So this makes a little more sense for D&D and helps us scale it a little bit so that it's a little lower on the heroic level and a little higher or it reaches basically the same point. Actually, it reaches the exact same point at the end game. Epic Eldritch Blast, the feat will grant 3d6 to Eldritch Blast. Arcane Eldritch Blast Destiny feat will do 4d6 to Eldritch Blast. And Enlightened Spirit, the light damage is now 1d6. Spirit Blast additional light damage is 4d6. And Spiritual Retributions light damage, and for weapons attacks and Eldritch Blast is now 1d4, 2d4, 3d4, up from down really from the OP-ness it was. So basically, the levels at which Warlocks add 1d6 to their base Eldritch Blast, they have 9d6 at level 20. This scales that back by 3d6, but they have the 2 new Eldritch Blast feats that have been increased, although people were, like I say, taking them anyway, because more damage is good. Net gain of 3d6. So basically what it is, it's a little lower on the heroic side, reaching the same point as they get now, as of level 26. The Enlightened Spirit changes also bring the extra damage granted by the abilities closer in line with those of other classes. And as he says, it's still going to be super strong. Spell Resistance. With Update 36, the following changes made to Spell Resistance. Drow and Deep Gnome Spell Resistance will now stack. It actually came up in the live stream as a suggestion, because nobody was really taking it, because it was better to itemize for Spell Resistance than take it through racial inherent abilities. And so it kind of made our Drow and Deep Gnomes sort of useless, because they really weren't seeing a benefit from that spell resistance. So it's now going to stack. We're also dropping back the power level of item-based sources of spell resistance. There, for a long time in DDO, spell resistance was kind of a, don't waste your time with it. And not that long ago, I guess really within the last year or two, it's really become highly valuable. And perhaps we've offered a little bit too much of it. So it's become a very binary situation for people at endgame. Or in Reaper, for example. So we're scaling it back just a little bit there, by about a third. Fury of the Wild's Ward Against Weird ability is now a primal bonus, stacking with most other sources. We did have a question about the Monk Divine something or other. Right now, it does not stack, but it's something we can look into. But basically we're getting rid of no-fail spell resistance unless you are a Drow or Deep Gnome. Aggro as well. Monsters are going to be seeing take the distance of their targets into account now. This really is aimed to prevent the situation right now where people tend to go for the guy in the back. Better improve aggro and stealth and help our stealth players out. If a monster kills or loses their primary target, they'll now aggro on who has the most hate next as opposed to the closest target. And then monsters with the C stealth property will now actually give you some feedback to anyone observing them through stealth. This is fairly new to me actually even too, but with Update 36, most area of effect spells, like Ice Storm and Web, will have visible indicators of their boundaries. That's really to make it more clear about where the enemy effects begin and end. based on feedback there. So, spell resistance will now be useless for any non-drow or deep gnome. No. I believe that people, if useless means not binary, then yes. But if useless, they will be useful because it will still benefit you greatly throughout a broad range of content. It's just not going to be a, now I never have to worry about that again situation. Spell resistance values and items reduce retroactively for existing? Yes, I believe so. I also agree we need more kukris, someone in chat says. Paper D&D has many rules about combat squares. Will we ever consider not allowing allies to fight in the same combat square as you? No, due to the reality that if we were to do that, it would allow a lot of griefing opportunities, because we have a lot of doors in DDO, and people can park themselves in front of a door. So we would need to also create ways to be like, alright, but you can still go through them. And then if we offer that, then, yeah, we just cause a bunch of problems. Keep arcane imbues on crossbow? No. Any changes in Epic Reaper XP? Maybe. We haven't done the work yet, but there has been some discussion about basically boosting it up on the high end to better match the expectation, because right now a lot of it is lower level focused. People are seeing a little better time to benefit ratio there. So we want to offer a little more, I think, Reaper XP on the high level quests. But that work has not yet been done, so we'll see. When is Update 36 released? No ETA yet. We're hoping to get it onto Lamania by the end of next week. But again, that really depends on the work that takes place in the next 4 or 5 days. So that could shift as well. We need to rebalance saving throws next. Yeah. It's one of those pen and paper things that doesn't always translate, but we're doing the best we can on it. Alright, I think that's going to do it. Like I say, we do have a plus 50% crafting XP kicking off tomorrow, going through the weekend, so that should be pretty cool. I am commended. Why, thank you. Will spell resistance get the AC treatment? That's not something we have any plans to do. I mean, that would be one potential solution. But that's not the plan, no. Will Deep Gnomes ever be on sale? Probably. Oh, thanks, Prince. Ran into an issue in a quest and got some good help quickly. Appreciate that. Can I post a link to that forum post? Maybe. I have to look it up. Just go to DDO.com, go to the forums, click Dev Tracker, you'll find it. But yeah, let me post in the link. There you go. Smashing Cow, I am on Argonesson. This is week 2 of 2 for Argo, so we'll be back on Argo on Friday, and then week after, I'll probably be on Caneth, unless we're doing Lamania. Probably Kenneth. We'll see. So let's, and I'll probably just be questing an Argo on Friday. Alright, thank you very much for watching the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Really appreciate you joining us. If you would like to check out the other streamers on DDO Stream, we would sure appreciate that. I'm sure they would as well. We have shows really all week long, and you can find the schedule over on the Twitch page. Hope you have a great DDO weekend and everything, week. Hope you're enjoying playing the game. We look forward to hearing your feedback on upcoming changes and Update 35 and more. Thank you very much for watching. Talk to you again soon.